So, not everything works as a movie. So John Green, the writer, the YouTuber, and now movie executive producer. I'm sure John Green just did tons of work when he was on the set of this movie. And so Paper Towns is following the success that John Green's The Fault in Our Stars had. And when I read Paper Towns, even though it wasn't that much worse than Fault in Our Stars as a book, I can safely say, even as a movie, Paper Towns is not as good as The Fault in Our Stars. So Fault in Our Stars, I do love the book, I love the Paper Towns book. As a movie, The Fault in Our Stars, I don't want to go in depth with my thoughts because I haven't seen it in a while, but I thought it was a good movie. They just didn't quite hit the nail on the head. With this movie, they missed the nail completely. And I don't want this to be one of those reviews where it's just a book-movie comparison, but you guys gotta understand something. My reviews are subjective. They are my opinion. They are my perspective. And in my perspective, this movie lives pretty much just as an adaptation. You can say this movie was serviceable. You can say this movie was decent. But the book Paper Towns, the main idea was you can't just think of people in one-dimensional forms. You have to understand that they are three-dimensional beings. For instance, Margot, the lead female in Paper Towns, people think of her more than a person. They think of her as an idea. The main character, for instance, he sees Margot as a crush. He thinks of her in this kind of dreamy, unrealistic sense. That's not who she really is, though. This movie seemed to get that part where she's a fantasy, but it didn't flip it around and make it novelty. It just kind of had the false identity presented, and that's not what Paper Towns is about. The side characters, Radar, for instance, he was a quirky guy. He was also the best friend you could ever have. And he also had this obsession with his website. He was a complex character at the end of the day. And I remember in the book, he had a joke where he was like, "Hey, I'm the token black guy." And the joke was funny because he obviously fit the archetype of, the token black character. But you knew at the end of the day, he's a complex character. But this movie, it fucked it up. It just bubbled his character and he was just the one-dimensional, nerdy token black friend. Our lead main characters dress up as your usual male high school nerds. And all the characters seem to just kind of get bubbled into these one-dimensional archetypes. Because, I understand Hollywood, it does that. It bothered me so much here because the idea of the story is to not do that. The popular girl, she was bubbled down into being the popular girl. The dorky sidekick characters are the dorky sidekick characters. And Margot, I understand a lot of people don't like this character, they have gripes with her. But at the end of the day, that's kind of her character. She has flaws. She has a lot wrong with her. She's human. She's three-dimensional. She's complex. I like her. This movie didn't seem to understand that. I thought the casting for Margot was great. Her actress, the Suicide Squad girl, you could really see in her face that she is similar to Margot in a lot of regards. And a lot of her mannerisms were perfect for that character. It's just not Margot because the story is ultimately what decides who Margot is. And I'm not going to say this movie was bad or it was physically trying to harm Paper Towns and make it something it's not. I think it just didn't really do what it was supposed to and it didn't feel natural. Even the parts where it did seem to kind of get the idea of the story, I didn't feel that. None of it came across natural. It felt forced. And that was right after it did what it wasn't supposed to. And none of it just seemed to get messy all over the place. This movie just felt flat. It felt unexciting. And when you are trying to force so much of this book into this pretty short movie, this movie easily could have been longer, and without the main character's perspective actually saying a lot of the ideas, it just comes across as, a generic movie and a generic story. And this is a slight spoiler here, but in the book, the main characters have to get on the road really fast and they have to skip their graduation. They're still in their graduation robes and they have a couple of hours before this window of opportunity gets completely destroyed. And in this movie, it was like, oh no, if we don't arrive in time, we're gonna be a little bit late for prom. Final thoughts, I do think this movie was decent. I enjoyed a lot of it. I thought it was funny, I thought it was upbeat, it was fun to watch, but I just felt rubbed the wrong way so much of the time that I can't say I really felt that much with this movie. I'm gonna give Paper Towns a 6 out of 10. Guys, let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. You can check out my Twitter, my Patreon if you want to support my endeavors and dreams, or you can check out my second channel where I have bonus content and the nice fun videos. Anyway guys, take care, and with that, I leave you.
How keep you safe in these hours of night? Hard time to live.